3, 4.
What is going on, guys? Void Hunter here, and welcome to today's video. Now I know, complete shocker, first time my voice has ever been recorded in video format, and I figured the best time to do that would be at the launch of Firebase Z, the new Cold War Zombies map that just released today on the 4th of February 2021. Now, I haven't exactly written a script for this video. I just kind of wanted to capture my very first thoughts and my raw thought processing of this map that honestly I'm very hyped to play and to have played, because I've been waiting for more zombies content, like a fresh map, for a long time now, it feels like. And besides that, I've been honestly on a hiatus from zombies, so it's nice to have something to come back to that's brand new to Cold War, because frankly I really enjoyed Die Maschine, and this map did not disappoint either. Most of the reason that I even took a hiatus was mostly because I played Die Maschine to death on its launch, and because there wasn't anything other than, what was it, Onslaught, other than that there wasn't anything new coming to zombies. So, and while Onslaught wasn't the worst mode I've seen, it was basically just multiplayer maps with zombies and megaton bosses thrown in. So while Onslaught is a good mode, in my opinion, and it was honestly pretty creative considering nobody had ever seen multiplayer and zombies so interconnected before, and especially not with the rankings and stuff that they added in with the Modern Warfare and Cold War kind of fusion that they did for this launch, and just how multiplayer and zombies work together in this compared to the other zombie games before it. It still didn't exactly add anything super, original to it, and you can tell when you play it for the first time as well. Basically what I'm trying to say is, while Onslaught wasn't awful, and it surely did its part for a while, it wasn't exactly something that held back any sort of... It didn't satiate my desire to play more zombies content. Me leaving didn't have anything to do with zombies as a whole. I didn't have any problems with how Cold War did Die Maschine, and honestly it was a refreshing take after Black Ops 4, which I didn't exactly hate, but it was still lacking in content for the Aether department, and I frankly didn't care all that much for the Chaos crew. That's just me. While it was creative, it's just the map designs and stuff didn't exactly just coincide well with me, but that's a video for another time, which I'm sure I'll end up doing at some point, because I want to do more videos like this in the future. Maybe how about some rank videos, But not to get too much into that and off topic, let's get back into this. So after the launch of Die Maschine, I was a little worried that they were just going to end up recycling old maps and adding kind of a different take on it, because while Nachtruhe und Toten was still there, they didn't exactly make it just about Nachtruhe und Toten like Chronicles did back in the past, and how Black Ops 4 did their remasters. So while I don't think I would have had a problem with that, I was still a little worried that they weren't going to do anything original, which, thankfully, Firebase Z is the first original map since Gorod Krovi, which I think that's really crazy to say, because that was back in Black Ops 3, which wasn't even its final DLC, not including Chronicles. That was the map that came out before Revelations. And after that, Chronicles, and then after that, Black Ops 4 and its DLC cycle. Well, Black Ops 4 did give us a nice array of 4 new original maps that didn't take place in Aether. I really only cared about Aether, and I still only really care about Aether. And I'm not surprised that I feel that way, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me when I say nobody cares about anything other than Aether. And that's just because that's how it's always been manufactured to be. Back in World at War, it was always either Nameless Soldiers or the Aether crew. It was Richtofen, Dempsey, Nikolai, then Takeo. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that the way they were created, who else were you supposed to really care for? I mean, you had those people out there that really liked the, Transit crew, and maybe you had a few people that really liked the Exos crew and the World War II crew as well. But for the most part, it always came back down to how well Aether was doing in their storyline. And that's fine. That was a whole storyline in the making at the time. But that's the point. It wasn't an Aether map. Which is what I've been basically, that's what all of this is, just a long way of me saying it wasn't an original Aether map, so I don't really count it. And maybe that's flawed logic. Well, that's just how I feel. Now, to talk more about the map itself, Firebase Z was actually a bit of a different story. It wasn't the same kind of map that I was expecting it to be, frankly. It was smaller at start. Like when I first spawned in, I was immediately just like, wow, this map is incredibly small. I don't know how anyone's going to be able to survive on this map. And I'm really glad that when you actually went to the teleporter, you actually got transported to the real map, which has oodles and oodles of space to work with. So now I'm kind of like, yeah, I can see how people could survive. And I'm glad. I think this map, in terms of size and space, is bigger than D Machine, which I honestly was surprised, but I'm happy for because I don't think we've had this much open space for a while to actually work with. And it'll definitely be harder to get to high rounds, but, and I mean, in this gameplay, I only made it to round 15, but when you don't know anything about the map, when you know absolutely nothing about the map, because that's what I tried to do with this map. I wanted to go in completely blind. The only thing I knew was that the wonder weapon was some weird name. I think it was called like the RGB Kai 1 or something like that, and I know nothing about this map other than what I've just played through because I wanted to be fresh. And I am not sorry about that because it was really refreshing to come into a map and not immediately know how to do the Easter egg because everyone spoiled it. Getting into more of the features of the map, Firebase Z introduced a new boss called, I believe it was called the Mimic, which I think is probably one of the best changes from D Machine to this, because frankly, I absolutely despised the Megatons. The play counts were fine, and while they were really annoying dropping that gas everywhere, I did not like the Megatons, because not only were they super tanky, and they spawned in pretty much every round on late rounds, you couldn't stand still for a second. You couldn't really do anything. If you got hit a couple of times by a zombie, and then a Megaton just decided, you know what, I'm gonna ruin your whole career, he could do that by just throwing his bombs or laying his little acid pulse thing, whatever, I don't even know what you call that, but he's just so annoying. And I'm glad that they changed that because the Mimic works pretty much in the exact opposite way to the Megaton. Instead of being a slow, kind of menacing presence, the Mimic is fast, it doesn't have any long-ranged attacks, and while they do spawn in about the same amount on later rounds, I would much rather take Mimics that have to chase you like the zombies do versus somebody that's just going to stay in the back and just bomb you to death. And I'm glad that when I defeat one, it doesn't split off into two that have equally amount of health. An equal amount of really stupid amount of health. So I'm really happy that the boss in this map is not the Megaton, and I'm glad that he's not in this map, because that honestly made D Machine a lot more harder than it had to be, considering how the zombies already were, and the fact that you already had play counts, which was probably one of the only things I actually didn't particularly like about D Machine. Other than that, D Machine was solid, and I had really no problems with it. Now, a surprise that I thought was really interesting was they actually brought back the Russian Manglers from Gorod Krovi, which, again, bringing up earlier how they hadn't made a single new map of original Aether quality, which was Gorod Krovi back then, was the last one. I think it's funny that the boss from that is the one in the new map that just came out. A little bit of irony there, but frankly, I'm glad he's back, because I don't think it was fair that he was in that map, considering how hard Gorod Krovi could really be. And I feel like he's definitely more toned down to what he is, but I'm glad he is, because with the mimics around and him, I think it's better off that he's kind of toned down a little bit. He kind of acts like the Megaton, but the Megaton was far more cancerous than that Russian Mangler will ever be. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that mimic spawn in, there's something about that presence and just how ugly it is that I'm not gonna lie, it freaked me out quite a bit, which is something I couldn't really say about much of the other bosses. I'm glad they kind of went back to the Panzer and the Brutus idea of a boss where he's fast, he chases you, and you gotta turn around and shoot him. And while it's kind of an overused trope in zombies, I am definitely glad that they refreshed the plate with the Mimic after what they did with the Megaton. And some people don't mind the Megaton, but I don't always want to run Ring of Fire, alright? Which is the best way to take them down, unless you're using the ray gun. So, it's nice that I don't have to necessarily center my entire playstyle around defeating this boss on late rounds. Especially when they just spawn another one in the next round when your Ring of Fire is gone anyway. Also, the introduction of Tombstone, I wasn't really expecting. I knew they were talking about bringing back old perks like Tombstone. I think I heard there was a theory that PhD Flopper or even Who's Who might come back. Which, speaking of Who's Who, they kind of did bring it back because Tombstone actually works like Who's Who. So instead of you just dropping a tombstone down on the ground when you die, you actually come back as, I think they call it a shadow, and then you go and revive yourself. And however long it takes is how many perks you lose. So instead of just getting all your perks back, easy peasy lemon squeezy, you actually have to hurry. But I'm glad that they found a unique way of bringing Who's Who in without making it its own perk. So, Tombstone is a welcome addition, especially with how Cold War's mechanics are. And I still have yet to unlock all the Ethereum crystals to unlock all of its Tier 3 upgrades. I think I only have it at Tier 1 now, but I will happily finish that perk so I can add to my collection. Getting into how the map flows, honestly, I was surprised that it actually took place in a Vietnam base. I'm happy it is, because for the longest time, especially after playing Black Ops 1 for so long, I was surprised we never went to Vietnam, or any map like Vietnam. So, it's kind of awesome that one of my map ideas from way back in the day came back through to the modern day in the new Cold War engine. And I must say, they really got the atmosphere down. The introduction of the Napalm Strike and the Artillery Strike are very welcomed additions, and are very OP, but so isn't the War Machine and the Chopper Gunner when you use it, so I have no problems with it being overpowered, especially it's zombies. It's PvE. It's AI opponents. Don't ever nerf things that are going against AI. They're AI, frankly. That's just how I feel about it. And yeah, that was a bit of a dig at the devs for nerfing the ray gun, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I haven't exactly gotten through the rest of this map, and I plan to play it more in the future. But for my first thoughts and opinions on this map, very solid, very large, and I think it's a welcomed addition to the roster of maps in general. I don't know why it's paused there, but frankly, this is an awesome map, and once I figure out more about this map, I will gladly stream more about it. And maybe we'll do more videos kind of like this in the future, once I've actually maybe completed the Easter egg, played a little more. This is just kind of like my first raw thought process, and very positive in my opinion. I was very shocked with some of the things they added, but happy that they came back and did what they did. The jump pads, I was not expecting to come back. I hadn't seen those, I don't think, since either the Wonder Fizz machine, or the Wonder Sphere, as they called it in Black Ops 3, or the jump pads from Moon. So it's been a while since we've seen them, so I was honestly shocked they brought them back, but they're welcome to stay, in my opinion. As well as the Russian Mangler, and the pods that were from Gorod Krovi. and the generators. There's a lot of recycled stuff from previous maps, but there was never anything wrong with it in my opinion, so I don't have a problem with it being here. They can make an original map and still use old content. I mean, they used Hellhounds every year on pretty much every map for the longest time, and nobody really said anything. So I don't have a problem with them being here. Firebase Z, I don't have an official ranking for it yet, but it is definitely an overly positive map, and I am glad to say that it's in Cold War Zombies and here to stay. If you really enjoyed this video, please let me know. I want to do more videos maybe like this in the future. I'm planning on doing kind of ranking videos on Star Wars, Battlefront 2, Star Wars in general, other zombies related stuff. And I would like to add more content to this channel, kind of like this, because I want to grow this channel, and I'm kind of still new. I have a lot more videos than I used to, and I'm uploading far more consistently. But I want to be able to add more and more, and watch this channel grow and grow. So if you do like this video, please let me know, and maybe tell a friend about it. Definitely wouldn't mind any sort of support growing this channel at all. And I'll see you in the next one.